If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
Welcome back into Indianapolis. It is live coverage from Super Bowl Radio Row. And it is always, Shannon Sharpe stopped by the other day, and we said it's good to have someone who at least wore the purple. It's good to at least have someone. And Brian Billick came by yesterday. We're having like our own little Super Bowl 35 reunion here in Indianapolis. Priest Holmes is with us now. Priest, what's going on, buddy?
You know, not too much. You know, the biggest thing that I like about Radio Row is you get a chance to talk about all the things that you've been up to and all the past experience that you had.
Right.
Speaking of past experience, Baltimore Ravens.
Well, you got a connection. Like everywhere you go, there's like some one connection that you have to that place. Like a game that you played against a team from that city or
That's
something.
Right.
Everybody's got the one, and you in college, so all the Texas stations are hitting you up. So you've got connections kind of everywhere.
I really do. You know, when I think of Baltimore, one of the hardest games for me to play in at that time was against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, early on, the first 2 years, it was like hell playing against those guys. You know, we really didn't get an opportunity to really get on the table versus those guys towards the latter part of those 4 years that I was there. But I tell you what's still exciting. You talked about Shannon Sharpe, Coach Billick. These were guys that at the beginning of that Super Bowl year, we actually sat down. Coach Billick stepped up and he says, hey, I want 4 guys to speak. So of course, that was Shannon Sharpe, Ray Lewis, Tony Siragusa. Here I am, my 4th year, and they asked me to speak to the team. So one thing we all talked about was winning the Super Bowl, and so I was very excited to know that it wasn't happenstance. We talked about it before the season started, and then later on that year, guess what? We're in the run for the Super Bowl run. And so Super Bowl 35 was pretty exciting.
Priest Holmes is here with us, courtesy of SchoolOfTheLegends.com. We're going to talk about that in 1 minute. Priest, for the 2 teams that are getting ready to play on Sunday, what's this week like? Give me a feel for, you know, you've been practicing all week out at the facility, everything is normal. Now all of a sudden you go to a different place, and what does it feel like? Does it just feel really odd, or can you do some of the normal things?
I'd have to say, for most of the guys that have been traveling on the road all season long, it's just like going to business like any other week. But the difference is that everything tends to slow down. You would think that it would get really fast and hectic, and there's so much going on. As far as practicing is concerned, everything slows down. You have a chance to have more slower practices. You get a chance to really embrace this whole entire week, because I tell you what, you can't take a second to think and allow for it to pass by without, you know, embracing what it represents. And I think for the guys that are pretty excited about it, the team that doesn't go out is a team that has the most success. I think that's been the case for so many years, and I think that everyone's going to be a professional and they're going to be ready to play.
Speaking of avoiding distractions, by the way, Tim Tebow is apparently.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're not yelling Priest, they're yelling Tebow.
Having Tebow and having him and what he represents to the game, really exciting, especially for the young players that have definitely been told that they couldn't succeed, they wouldn't have success, and he's made a niche for himself. Now again, that final game of the season maybe is one that he wish he could definitely have back, but what he's done for the year and the way that he's been able to be a winner, and that's one thing you can't take away from him. The national championship, what he brings to the Denver Broncos, I'll tell you what, being in Kansas City and playing there, and Vesco Field was always one of the hardest places to play in.
Well, let me ask you this, because it's been a little while since we caught up and we've known each other. I remember meeting you the first day of the first training camp up in the little cage in Westminster when they used to let the media in up there, and I went up and I didn't know who you were. You were just a short guy on some funny number up.
Some guy with hearts.
And
I was just one guy with hearts.
You were a guy with a heart, and they thought bad knees, right? That's what they thought.
I tell you what, I had an ACL injury, so of course they had every right to say that, you know, and of course the doubters and the things of that nature was definitely something that was consistent would come in there. But I had an opportunity. Al Levance gave me an opportunity. Ted Marchibroda, being the oldest coach at that time, gave me an opportunity. My first year, he said, Priest, you will not touch the ball. Now, of course, you can run it every practice play, but in the game, you're not. You're going to play special teams. So if you can make this team with special teams, we're going to give you a shot. Again, that second year came. Eric Rett goes down. Jay Graham goes down with a hamstring injury, and I have an opportunity, the 4th game of the year against the Cincinnati Bengals. So pretty excited.
It was Priest and Zaire, man. That's what it was all about.
That's right.
My man Easy.
And never look back. Hey, Priest, this is an interesting situation. When the Ravens let you go,
yes,
it was always obviously a lot about Jamal. And
well, it was not only about Jamal. It was really about the fact that I was unrestricted free agent.
Right.
So at that time, there was no way that they could definitely keep me from going out and seeing what was on the market.
Right.
Now coming out that particular year, being within the top 5 backs on the free agent market, it gave me an opportunity to pick a place that really would be more successful and beneficial to me. Sure. Now again, who was to say that Jamal was going to go down with knee injuries the next?
We needed you, man.
The next season. Who was going to say that? But I'll tell you what, the ability for me to run in Baltimore was going to be very difficult difficult because the runs were not designed for my type of style of play.
Right.
I mean, it was always in between the tackles, leading behind Jonathan Ogden. You know, those are the ways that they ran the ball. But for me, it was getting on the perimeter, being in the passing game, allowing me to be in dimensional different runs and pass sets to allow me to get to the second level. Get me to the second level, I can make magic happen.
Dare I say Ray Rice-esque?
Well,
yeah.
You see what happens
It's funny,
now.
that's why we bring it up.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we bring it up, is because now the Ravens have another situation with an unrestricted free agent running back in Ray Rice, where now you're in a league where the running back position in general isn't quite as, it's not thought of the same way. It's thought of that you guys are a little bit more fragile and, heck, you know, we're just going to go find another running back in 5 years. It's just the way the league works now. To you, do you look at a Ray Rice and still say, this is a guy that is worth the unbelievable contract somebody is going to be willing to pay him?
One thing I think that they've understood is that the more that you feed the ball to Ray Rice, the more ability and the success that he has on the field. You take Ray Rice out of the program, the Ravens can be very difficult to have that dimension of the game. You include him, you allow him to get his runs, you increase his amount of carries, he has his success. So yes, I believe that the way that the league is set up today, there's definitely someone that's going to be willing to pay him, and if it's not the Ravens, there is another team that will definitely scoop him up in a heartbeat.
Well, it needs to be the Ravens, is what we're saying.
Well,
it needs to be the Ravens.
You know, I really believe that it will because he fits that organization, and the fact that he's so close with the facts with Ray Lewis, and he has that ability. He's really aggressive as a running back. He's a kid that you look at him and you say, you know, there's no way that he could be running through tackles the way that he does. But he has the ability. When you look at his yards after contact, that's where you start judging him back. And that's where you can see the ability where when you look at his stats, you look at that. And that is the ability to say that he can be a successful runner.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.